All right, well, I'm sure you saw Joe Kennedy III giving the Democratic response to the State of the Union. Just asking, did the Democrats really have to trot out a Kennedy? Is that all they got? Joining me right now, presidential historian Doug Wead, author of the book Game of Thorns. Doug, great to see you. What do you make of this? I mean, look, no offense against him. Thank goodness, by the way, they had someone younger than, who they typically have. I mean, they need fresh blood. But a Kennedy?
Well, I thought it was great. They need to do something. I thought it was very ironic, Trish, that Joe Kennedy III was using the same arguments against Trump's economic plan that JFK's enemies used against him and his plan 56 years before. Boy, how the world has changed.
Well, Doug, you make a good point, because I've always said, economics doesn't need to be so political, in that JFK cut taxes. He did exactly what the president managed to get done with tax reform. And here, the next generation is saying something very, very different.
Yes, and when Joe Kennedy III argued it's all for rich people, when they said that to JFK, you'll remember very famously he used a New England proverb that had been passed to him by Ted Sorensen. He said, a rising tide raises all boats. So Kennedy defended himself, and Joe Kennedy III in Congress used another argument against Trump's tax reform. He said that this is going to drive up the national debt, and that's what Republicans used as an argument against JFK.
Right.
And
it's funny how times have changed, because I'm saying, you don't know how many Democrats I've said to, so since when did you become a fiscal conservative?
And the fact that he's Catholic, I think, is something the Democrats need. Yeah. They lost the vote in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan. A lot of it was because they had trashed the Catholic vote in those emails with Podesta, and Bill Clinton had begged Hillary to reach out to the Catholic vote, and they just absolutely wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. So maybe the Democrat Party's coming around a little bit. 22% of those voters in 2016 were Catholic. Only 1% were Muslim, which they spent so much time and money trying to reach out to.
Doug, I grew up as an Irish Catholic, and my father came from a very big Irish Catholic family, and you were a Democrat like you were Irish, like you were Catholic. Right. I mean, that was part of that generation. And I think that Donald Trump has really gotten in there and stolen that thunder, if you would, right out from under the Democrats. So maybe they think a Kennedy can bring them back. I would just recommend he get the right economic policy.